Hi, I'm Ginevra. I'm with my co-host with the most, Sharon. We both have personal and professional experience in managing fibromyalgia. Today, we're going to be sharing with you some of the 2024 research and treatment updates. And warning, we will be doing PowerPoints, but make sure you stay till the end because we're going to talk about how one of the tools for fibromyalgia actually can help reduce pain of heartbreak. Now, Sharon, you're going to share with us what you learned at Pain Week, which is a conference that you've been going to pretty much almost yearly, I think.
I've gone about 5 years now. It's the nation's largest conference to help frontline physicians, anybody in healthcare, learn more about managing pain. I think my first one was in 2011, and I've been to
Wow.
about 5. One thing that's really cool about the experience is I said it's a mix of healthcare providers. So you have doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, psychiatrists, psychologists, you name
Physical
it.
therapists and
Now even health coaches like myself. And so what's exciting is the atmosphere there. It's a long conference. It's about 5 days. And it's from basically 7:30 in the morning till some days 8:30 at night. Just nonstop conference learning. At any given time, there's usually no less than 3, if not maybe 4 or 5 seminars you can take part in. There's a trade show hall where you can meet and talk with people who have different products and services that help people with pain. And that's how you and I got to know each other a little bit better.
yes. I went to, I think, was it 2019? It must have been
I think so.
2019 because it was
Yep.
pre-COVID. Yeah. And it was my first time in Vegas, and you very kindly showed me around. And it is not the most fibro-friendly place, I will say, but I had a blast getting to know you, and I was so impressed. Remember, we tried to go to a talk about fibromyalgia, and we couldn't get in. It was like standing room only, and that just like blew my mind. Like all these providers really wanted to know about treating fibromyalgia, and I was like, okay, all right, this is a good conference to go to. So you've been going every year or many years and bringing information back to your support and education group, right?
Yeah, I have a nonprofit. It's called the Fibromyalgia Association, and we have a support and education group and hold monthly meetings. It's actually how my nonprofit was formed. In one of the earlier episodes, you can listen to and hear more about that. But going to meetings like this one and bringing the information back has been the key to my success. And I wanted to share that with other people. And so that's what I do at the Fibromyalgia Association, which can be found at managefibro.org. And now it's super exciting to do it with you here. And we'll both be bringing that type of information here to all of you on the Fibro Show. So,
Absolutely. And that's really part of our mission, I think, is trying to shorten the amount of time that it takes for people to learn new information about fibromyalgia, because it can take years and years, decade plus before it gets filtered down to, let's say, your primary care doctor. But you might be able to find new and interesting information here a lot sooner than that. I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do.
exactly. And I have brought information back to my doctors, and they've always been appreciative of it. And they often have not heard of things that I've brought back from Pain Week. So that's why it's good to tune in and listen to us every week. You never know what we might be sharing here on the Fibro Show. And we do hope that you'll like and subscribe and ring the bell. And that way, with our Fibro brains, you'll never miss new content, because when you ring the bell, you'll get that notification. And, we're not the only ones doing this. I want to give a shout out to one of our viewers, Dan, who wrote to me about his museum worthy artifacts in arthritis. Dan, I am going to be emailing you soon. But I was just touched by your note and knowing that we were actually at the same conference in 1997 in Portland, Oregon, it sounds like. So I appreciate all the work you've been doing out there, Dan. And we're going to continue to do that here. So with that said, I'm going to jump right into the top 3 things that I learned at Pain Week this past fall, 2024. And first, I'm going to start with neuromodulation devices. That was really exciting. It's not new to me because several years ago, I was actually part of a research trial, and I was a participant in neuromodulation. And as it turned out, I was in the group that received the treatment, and I did do very well with the treatment. Sadly, that product is not on the market, but I was very interested in other products down the line that maybe would do the same thing. So Pain Week offered a great seminar this past year where a doctor discussed a variety of neuromodulation devices. And Ginevra, can you hit the next slide, please?
Oh, yes. There we go.
There we go. And yeah, I think we covered that one already.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
17
Ginevra.
years for research evidence to reach clinical practice. Boy, gotta improve that.
For sure. Yeah. And so my top topics that we'll be talking about here, and this was from a presentation I did to our nonprofit, the new treatments for fibromyalgia, which we're getting into right now, the wicked threesome of stress, anxiety, and insomnia, which I'm going to hit on a little bit with the neuromodulation devices, and then long COVID. Is it fibromyalgia? That was an interesting topic. So,
And I think that that is something that a lot of people are wondering about, and there's a lot of interest out there trying to figure out the overlaps and similarities and dissimilarities.
yeah, and I think I ordered my speech wrong according to the slides. So hold that
What
thought.
are we gonna learn about first, Sharon?
If you want to learn about neuromodulation, we will get to that in just a moment. But first comes Tonics, which is a pharmaceutical company, and it's exciting that they may have the first drug for fibromyalgia in 15 years. They have been awarded by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration fast track designation with their drug Tonmia, and we're hopeful that this will become an approved drug in 2025. I think they were saying anytime between like maybe May and September, I think they might know. So it's not a new drug. And Ginevra, did you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's actually a medication that's been around for quite a while. It's cyclobenzaprine, which is also known as Flexeril. And it's just a very small dose. And what they've done that's different is they've made it a very small dose that dissolves under the tongue. So it's like really quick acting. And it seems to help people to get into deeper sleep. And what's really cool is that they're finding finally that relationship, which clinically we've all known that if you are sleeping better with fibromyalgia, your pain is better. That's what they're actually able to demonstrate in the studies where they're looking at this medication. And regardless of the medication itself, what's so exciting is that there's all this interest and dollars, frankly, being spent on researching fibromyalgia. In particular, nobody's really paid attention to the fibromyalgia sleep component. And, for both of us, that has been like such a fundamental piece. So I'm super excited, that this drug company is like out there spending the money researching fibromyalgia, and B, maybe this will be a helpful treatment for some folks.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that sublingual formulation is also a little unique. And from what I have heard, that could be beneficial for some of us. And there's so many of us with fibro who have gastro issues.
100%. Yes. And it goes into the system really quickly. And then it goes into the system and out of the system. Because one of the negatives of cyclobenzaprine, and I tried it like many, many moons ago when I was first diagnosed with fibromyalgia, is it can have a little bit of a hangover effect. So it takes like an hour or two to get into your system. And, you take like the usual 5-10 milligram dose, and then it slowly dissolves in your system overnight. I would always have kind of fogginess or grogginess in the morning, and a lot of my patients reported that. But with this new sublingual formulation, it does not seem to have that. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. And again, like you're saying, just having that attention and having them in the news. I was working in this industry when all the other drugs came on the market. There's 3. And each time those came out and they were in a short time frame, we had the commercials on TV. Prior to that, the whole world had never heard the word fibromyalgia. So much good comes from a new medication, whether it's going to be something that you're able to take or not. It's a great thing for our community.
100%. That's actually when all the like Lyrica commercials were on TV, many moons ago. that is when fibromyalgia really like increased in legitimacy. Doctors, I think there's a lot more like, oh, and then even family members like, oh my gosh, they're talking about what you have on TV. Somehow that really helped take it to the next level. And I'm kind of hoping maybe we could get to like even the next level with this
For
one.
sure. And my only criticism of those commercials, so bear in mind if this happens, just planting the seed here. If this happens with the new drug, people with fibromyalgia cannot take a drug and feel completely better. It's one piece of the whole puzzle.
Yes.
So bear
Yeah.
that in mind. I really wish we could say there's going to be a drug, you'll be able to take it and all of your problems will be solved, but that's not the case. But the right drug can be such a pivotal part of your management.
And improving sleep is so key. And we're going to actually talk about sleep next episode, talking about what's kind of going wrong in fibromyalgia sleep and different ways that are available to fix it.
The other treatments that I mentioned were neuromodulation, and there were several devices that were talked about at the conference, with the first being Quell. And this presentation was given by Dr. David Glick. It's the first and only FDA authorized medical device that helps reduce the symptoms of fibromyalgia. And it's been around for a while, but now it is approved by the FDA, and that's also a newer development with Quell. The data is very exciting about reducing pain, improving functioning with people who have used it. It sends neural pulses to the brain that triggers a natural response that's believed to reduce that pain hypersensitivity and also other symptoms. So that's the mechanism as far as how it works. And I
And
don't know
isn't
if you
it
want.
like a band that goes around? Is it like under your knee? I think it's
Yes.
right at the top of your calf. Yeah, I had a couple patients that tried it and found it helpful. Like it was useful in the additive. It didn't take away their pain, but I actually had one patient that was able to taper off or down on her opioids just by adding the Quell device.
And that's huge, being able
Yeah.
to taper off medications. And again, like we were just mentioning with the Tonics drug, even these devices are probably not going to, well, I need to back up. They're not going to do everything for you. It's just a significant piece of perhaps your management for those of us who are lucky where it makes a big enough impact that it's worth the investment. The nice thing with Quell too, I think it's like a 60-day money back guaranteed trial. It's 30 or
Oh.
60 days. I can't remember. So this slide was shared by Dr. Glick at Pain Week, shows a little bit more what I mentioned about, I know it's probably small, especially very small for those of you on your mobile devices. The green is the improvement in folks, and I can't even read it right now myself with the different pain levels and functioning levels.
Yeah, it looks like it was improved quality of life, pain, and something else that I cannot read, but we'll take it as a positive.
It's all very positive. Yep. So if you're on your computer, you can hone in on that a little bit more. And this slide that was also shared at Pain Week shows all the devices. He didn't go through all of them, but I think we went through like 5 of them. But I wanted to show this to all of you here so you can see how many different devices were out there. There's quite a few for migraine that you'll see on that list. I was just really impressed with the variety out there. The Alpha Stem that I'm really excited about, and I'm not sure if it's on the next slide or not. I may not have a slide for this one. Okay, that one went back to fibro and long COVID, so these are a little out of order. But yeah, the Alpha Stem is another form of neuromodulation, and this one combines the cranial electrical therapy stimulation with microcurrent electrical therapy. And the benefit of these devices, and AlphaStim makes 2 different models, and one model works on pain, anxiety, depression, and insomnia, whereas the other one works on just the anxiety, depression, and insomnia. So for those of us with fibromyalgia, we're probably interested in the AlphaStim M, which has the pain component as well. And did you want to say a little bit more about that
Yeah.
one?
Well, my understanding is that the pain component is more similar to like a TENS unit. That stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation device. So I think AlphaStim has a way that you can use their device as more like a TENS unit to reduce pain. But then they also have this way that you can use it as it's two little electrodes on your ears, and it's designed to kind of affect the brain's limbic system. And that's the area that really regulates, the autonomic nervous system. So it seems to kind of electrically activate the brain's relaxation response. And I had a patient try it and she loved it. And she said, it's like meditation, but without all the work. I was like, oh yeah. So I actually tried it myself. This was maybe 12, 13 years ago. It was before they had the pain component. And you'd wear it for like 20 minutes. I did it before bed and I did find it relaxing, but I struggled to find the right level of electricity. I felt like my hypersensitive fibromyalgia nervous system could really feel the electricity, and I had to turn it way, way down to the point that I could tolerate. And then I wasn't quite sure I was getting the benefit at that lower level. But I did feel like it was helpful. It did seem to kind of relax me. So I thought like, okay. And particularly if you're struggling with insomnia, putting it on for 20 minutes. And I bet in the, decade plus since I've tried it, I'm sure they've improved the technology. So it's probably more subtle.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've shared this on the show yet, but it's like a year and a half ago, I had a hysterectomy. And since the date of that surgery, I've had insomnia. That I've tried so many things, as you know, Ginevra, and I was really encouraged by the data shared at Pain Week on all the elements of pain, anxiety, but especially the insomnia with this device. So
For
I
sure.
actually asked my psychiatrist about trying it, and they had one in the office that I could demo. But you really need to do it daily. And so I tried it to get a feel for like what it feels like. And I know exactly what you're talking about, where you feel that little buzz. And the nice thing about having heard Dr. Glick talk about it, he shared that you want to do treatment at just below where you feel something. So you
Right.
want to go up to where you're like, ooh, it feels a little uncomfortable. And mind you, it's not pain. It's
No,
just
it's just
you
like,
go up
oh, I
slow.
feel electric. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel it.
And then you dial back just one, and
Yeah.
that's where you want to treat. And similar with like the Quell device, it does matter where on your leg it goes. So if you do get products like these, be sure that somebody really teaches you where to apply the device and how to use it.
I use it.
Because I'm a little concerned that some people maybe are missing that data, and you really want to make sure you give it a fair trial when you do, invest in trying it.
I think that might be part of why it does require a doctor's prescription for the AlphaStim device. I don't think the Quell device does.
It does now.
Does it?
Yep,
Okay, because it's
FDA approved. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But then theoretically, hopefully the provider is kind of training you a little bit on how to use it and can help you problem solve. That would be my hope anyway. And before we move away from neuromodulation, I have one other really cool thing I wanted to share. So in 2024, a study came out looking at this full body TENS unit. It's like a wetsuit that has, I think it's like 50 plus different electrodes that can basically do, instead of like a TENS unit, which just does 3 or 4 and it's only localized, with fibromyalgia, we have widespread pain. So it's basically like a TENS unit for the whole body. And it's called the ExoPulse Molly suit. And it was actually developed for use in helping people with spasticity disorders like cerebral palsy or MS. And now they're modifying it to help with chronic pain. As I promised, if you stayed to the end, you would learn about how we're using neuromodulation to ease heartbreak, which I really wish I knew about this a few years ago. So I read this article in The Guardian. Electrical brain stimulation can ease heartbreak, study finds. Researchers say that transcranial direct current stimulation of the prefrontal cortex, actually, not the limbic system, but the frontal cortex, can reduce the symptoms of, quote, love trauma syndrome, or LTS. I had no idea that was an actual thing, but LTS can cause emotional distress, depression, anxiety, insomnia, obsessive thoughts, as well as feelings of insecurity, helplessness, and guilt. that pretty much sums up how I felt for a couple years. So I really wish that I'd had this device. But it only took 5 days, 20 minutes, twice a day treatment with this headset, and people had improved depression and anxiety. And even a month after the treatment stopped, volunteers felt better. So who knows what neuromodulation can help us with next?